Hello and welcome to the Redhead Boy podcast, hosted by me, Harry Allen. This is my own personal podcast, where I talk about anything that's on my mind, really. So, of course, that's including film, television, news about film and television, news about the creative industries, creativity, anything that I pretty much feel like it. So welcome to the Redheaded Boy podcast, and let's start this episode.
Who are you?
Bond. James Bond.
Good morning. My name's Bond. James Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
Who are you?
Bond. James Bond.
Thank you, Mr.
The name's Bond. James Bond. The name's Bond. James Bond.
Boo-da-doo, ba-doo-doo. Ba-da-da-doo, ba-da-dee. Ba-doo, ba-da-doo. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Judo, judo, bloody well judo. Oh, you gotta laugh. Hello and welcome to episode 4 of my podcast with me, Harry Allen. And this is a very special episode today. It is a James Bond special. Woo! We are going to be talking about the man with the license to kill, the man that nobody does it better, makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as you, 'cause baby you're the best. So yes, we're going to be talking about James Bond, and you know, I thought I'd do it today because I thought everyone would want a little dose of James Bond, because last week we were meant to be seeing the last outing of Daniel Craig's James Bond in No Time to Die, and it's been delayed till November because of coronavirus. So I thought I would make this special today on the podcast. I'm going to be talking about 2 classic James Bond films in the franchise, including Skyfall and Goldfinger. And you don't know, with this show, we'll see what else we chat about, but that's what we're going to do today. Boom, boom, it's movie review time, yeah, it's movie review time, yes. So, I thought I'd start off by reviewing one of the newer James Bonds of recent years, and that is Skyfall, directed by Sam Mendes. But first, before I start reviewing it, let's listen to a clip.
3 months ago, you lost the drive containing the identity of every agent embedded in terrorist organizations across the globe.
I made a judgment call. Take the bloody shot!
.007 reporting for duty.
Where the hell have you been?
Enjoying death.
I only have one question. Why not stay dead? There's no shame in saying you've lost a step.
I'm your new quartermaster.
You must be joking.
Also PPKS 9mm short. It's been coded to your palm print so only you can fire it. Less of a random killing machine, more of a personal statement.
I want to meet your employer.
Be careful what you wish for.
Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
How much do you know about fear?
All there is.
Not like this. Not like him.
Just look at you. Chasing spies. England. MI6. She sent you after me knowing you're not ready, knowing you would likely die. Mommy was very bad. The two survivors. This is what she made us.
Everybody needs a hobby.
So what's yours?
Resurrection.
And that was the trailer for Skyfall. I tell you guys, I loved rewatching this film yesterday to prepare for this today. What a classic James Bond. Sam Mendes knocks it out the park for this Bond. Daniel Craig is absolute brilliant. This is one of his best as James Bond, redeeming himself after Quantum. Say that's a bit mean. I shouldn't say redeeming himself after Quantum. There was a lot of moving parts for that film, and this film, Skyfall, definitely brings Bond back to his classic status. So, in this outing, James Bond's loyalty is tested when M's past comes back to haunt her. When MI6 comes under attack, 007 must track down and destroy the threat, no matter how personal the cost. Good reading, Harry. Well done. Well done. Jesus, I sounded so serious reading that synopsis out. I'm sorry about that. So for me, the standouts for this film has got to be the chemistry between Daniel Craig's Bond and Judi Dench playing M. I love how the film, as it says in the synopsis, personal. And this is a personal story for James Bond and M. I love how the writers in this film make M a front and centre character. From the very beginning, we see her calling the shots on a mission as James Bond is in the field. And we see sort of what M has to sacrifice and what she has to do as a boss of a spy agency. You realise that it's not an easy job to do, and I love how in the film we get to see it play out, the great and almost unusual relationship that James Bond and M have always had throughout the history of the franchise. Daniel Craig and Judi Dench's chemistry is off the charts in this film. The humour is great, which is brilliant. Craig's previous one was very serious, so this one sort of returns to there's dark things that happen in this film, but there's also some great one-liners and some brilliant humour in this film. As I said before, I love how M is a centre character in this film, like side by side with Bond. And I love the intimate moments that Craig and Dench have in the later parts of the film. And you really get an essence of their back and forth relationship, which is great. Also, for me, the other of many standouts of this film is the beautiful cinematography done by the legend and now the 2-time Oscar winner Roger Deakins. His camera crew did a brilliant job with this film. It's a beautiful looking film. I think one of the most beautiful looking Bonds. I love how they use silhouettes in this film. There's a great fight scene where James Bond is fighting a hitman in Shanghai, and all that you see of the fight is the silhouettes of the two men fighting, while the background is lit up by the fabulous lights of Shanghai. Also, the great uses of colour in this film. There's some beautiful uses of colour in this film. Fabulous. Now, Bond, for me, as I think loads of you guys, especially Bond fans, a Bond film can only be measured up to its villain. And the villain in this film is great. Silva, played by Javier Bardem. He plays this revenge-hungry, flamboyant, deformed man. I love how they've brought back the classic, features of a villain. Definitely, this film leans back into what made Bond great, and the Bonnerisms, as I say. Javier Bardem plays a brilliant villain, joining the ranks of Goldfinger, Dr. No, Blofeld. I think, he's up there with the classic villains. He's brilliant in this film. So many, laughed out moments, especially when he's, touching up Bond in a flirty way. That still cracks me up. It's hilarious. His villain is great in this film. There's so many things I could talk about this film. I absolutely loved rewatching it. Such a classic film. Also great to see the classic Aston Martin that was featured in Goldfinger. Such a beautiful car. You can tell that this was Judi Dench's swan song as M, and also an absolute brilliant Bond to come out on the 50th. And that was my review of ...2012's Skyfall. Thank you for that little bit of rendition, Adele, with that amazing opening song for that film. Such a brilliant tune. So I hope you guys enjoyed that review. Now it's time for a little sponsor by a very special guest. Hello, Q here, from Q Branch. Now could you tell Bond to bring back my car and that gun and radio he left behind? Now remember that you must stay safe in this times of coronavirus. That's me, Q, reporting to you from HQ. Thank you, Q, for sponsoring this episode, and we all know that Q never jokes about his work. Now it's time for my next review of this classic James Bond film that came out in 1964. That is Goldfinger. But before I chat about that, let's listen to a clip.
Miss Honey and Miss Galore have James Bond back for more. And here he comes, the one, the only 007. And he's got a date with his two deadliest enemies, Goldfinger and Dr. No. They try to bomb him and charm him, mug him, and drug him.
Who are you? My name is Pussy Galore.
They try to chop him and drop him, belt him, and melt him. It's Sean Connery as James Bond, and if you liked him back to back, you'll love him face to face with his two deadliest enemies, Goldfinger and Dr. No.
And that was the trailer for Goldfinger, but also it seemed to be a trailer for Dr. No. So, yes. I will just have to say, before I start my review of this James Bond classic, I'd just like to mention some sad news that happened yesterday on Monday, that sadly Pussy Galore herself, Honor Blackman, died at the age of 94 yesterday. This was really spooky because obviously I rewatched Goldfinger, which Honor Blackman stars in as Pussy Galore, to talk about it on this show today, and then it came out in the evening that sadly she has passed away at the ripe age of 94. So I send my love to her family, and may she rest in peace. It's Mr. Goldfinger, do 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 do, pretty good, a man with a mighty touch, a spider's touch, boo 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 boo. So let's chat about this classic Bond film in the franchise, that is Goldfinger, that came out in 1964, and this was James Bond's second outing, Sean Connery playing him, the very first James Bond. And yeah, so I haven't watched this film for a long time, to be honest, and I don't think I've actually watched it all the way from the beginning. But let's start off with the positives. Obviously, this is a classic, the classic James Bond. Sean Connery is brilliant in the role as the suave, License to Kill spy. That is 007. And we have a classic villain, that is Goldfinger. He is absolutely obsessed with gold, and his plan is to break into Fort Knox and make the US's gold radioactive. And he names it Operation Grand Slam. I think one of the main positives out of this is the chemistry between James Bond and Goldfinger. I love their interactions where James Bond is clearly winding up Goldfinger. The chemistry between the two actors is brilliant. Goldfinger is almost childlike, which is entertaining. And he's got his trusty henchman, Objob, that if he flies his hat at you, you're gonna die. This is proper classic Bond to the T, completely classic, and with the fabulous late Honor Blackman as Pussy Galore. She is probably one of the most well-known Bond girls. She is brilliant in this film, uber attractive, and has great chemistry with the film's leading man, Sean Connery. Now, I'm going to be honest now. After watching this, this film has aged. It's dated, to be honest. There are some very, very laughable fight scenes that do not look realistic at all. Bond showing off his judo skills. Yeah, a lot of the fighting in this film is not great. But you've got to give the film the notable doubt that this film came out a long time ago. So back then, when it originally came out in 1964, the fight scenes were probably some of the best that the audiences had seen. But nowadays, if we look forward to now, to Daniel Craig's first entry as James Bond in Casino Royale, and we take that scene on the staircase that he does where we see him pretty much choke someone out, the level of fight skill and choreography is on a different level. So yeah, Goldfinger is a little bit dated in terms of that. Also, I would say Bond's view towards women is obviously extremely dated. It was a different time. There's this quite sexist bit where Bond wants to talk to his CIA friend Felix, and he's laying by a pool getting a massage by this blonde woman, and he tells this blonde woman that she should go away because they want to talk man talk, and then slaps her on the bum. Obviously, you could not get away with that today, because obviously that's extremely sexist. So, but there are still many positives, and still, you can still appreciate this film. I appreciate it just for how classic and how important this film was to the James Bond franchise. Obviously, we see Bond driving for the first time that classic Aston Martin, that DB5 with the guns and the oil slick and the smoke screen. Obviously, we see that amazing car chase that, for you cinephiles out there, is shot in Pinewood Studios, and as the car drives round a corner, apparently that corner at Pinewood Studios is named Goldfinger Corner, so that's pretty cool. And the overall Goldfinger's plan is pretty cool. So I thoroughly enjoy this film, even though it is extremely dated, but I enjoy it. And obviously that classic tune from Shirley Bassey. So that is my review of Goldfinger. And we can't talk about Goldfinger without playing some of this. of course, that was Shirley Bassey with Goldfinger. What a classic tune. Gosh, she is truly incredible and a James Bond legend, as she has come back several times to sing the theme of many James Bond songs. I tell you what, it would be really cool if they got her back for one more time. That would be truly amazing. Super amazing. I think everybody would go nuts for that. Absolute nuts, I tell you. And I think that's the end of the show. This episode 4 of my podcast. This James Bond special of my podcast. Hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have making it. It's been a good laugh. Mainly me laughing at myself trying to record these episodes. It's always good fun, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Until next time, you guys take care. And this has been Alan, Harry Allen. Whoops, almost forgot. I can't end this James Bond special of my podcast without playing out the No Time to Die trailer, scheduled to hit theatres this November. And I'm not about you, I cannot wait for this. Fingers crossed, it's a good one.
Why would I betray you?
We all have our secrets. You just didn't get to yours yet. The world is arming faster than we can respond. Where's 007?
I need a favor, brother. You're the only one I trust for this.
The world's moved on, Commander Bond.
You were 00?
2 years. So stay in your lane. You get in my way, I will put a bullet in your knee. The one that works.
I thought you two would get along.
Name? Bond. James Bond.
So you're not dead?
Hello, Q, I've missed you.
It's the most valuable asset this country has. If you feel yourself losing control,
I'm not going to lose control. James, you gave up everything for her. When her secret finds its way out, it'll be the death of him. What is it?
You don't know what this is.
James Bond. License to Kill. History of violence. I could be speaking to my own reflection. Only your skills die with your body. Mine will survive long after I'm gone. History isn't kind to men who play God.